Hello everyone. Today we're making a cheesy shrimp sauce with coriander, and you're going to be needing all the ingredients that you see on your screens right now. The first thing we want to do is get our butter out and melt that in a pan. We just want to get our butter completely melted but not it turning brown. The next thing that we're then going to do is to get our shrimp that we salted and added some black pepper to, and make sure that we fry for about 1 minute. We don't want to fry it until it's done. We're just trying to get all the butters and flavors in there. So we do that and we set it aside. Then we put the pan back on with the rest of the butter that's still in the pan and a tablespoon of oil. You could use vegetable oil, and I chose olive oil for this one. The next thing that we're going to do is to add our chopped onions and make sure that we are frying them and we're stirring them to prevent any burning. All we want to do is get them a bit soft. After which we're going to add a smidge of tinned tomatoes or tomato paste, depending on what you call it. And the reason why the tomato paste in the video seems so hard is because it was in the freezer. I like to keep my tinned tomatoes in the freezer. So just make sure that we're giving it a good stir and that everything is mixing up nicely and that we're not getting any burnt bits at this point. We're adding the tinned tomatoes to give a bit of color to our dish and also to slightly intensify the tomato flavor. We don't want it to be too overpowering, which is why we're not using so much tinned tomatoes or tomato paste. Right, so keep stirring, and then at this point we're going to add our garlic and our chopped green chilies. You don't have to use green chilies. If you've got Scotch bonnets or petty bells, you can use those as well. So whatever choice of hot peppers you want to choose, you can do that. Just make sure that you're stirring and preventing any burning. Give your pan a little shake, and we're good to go. Right, so at this point we're going to add in our chopped tomatoes. The size of the chopped tomatoes doesn't really matter because it's going to break down eventually as the sauce is simmering. So you're at liberty to chop them how big or how small you want. So I definitely didn't want to use blended tomatoes on purpose because I didn't want that super smooth texture. I just wanted this sauce to still have a bit of chunky tomatoes in there. So if you don't have fleshy or juicy tomatoes, what you can do is to add some water to your sauce while it's cooking. We want the sauce to still have a bit of liquid in it. We don't want that super dry sauce because we want the cheese eventually to sort of mix up with the liquid and then thicken up the sauce beautifully. We don't want it to dry. So if you don't have fleshy or juicy tomatoes, add some water. If you have stock, that's even better. You can add that to your sauce as well. But I use water and it works out fine every time. So while we watch our sauce simmer, I guess this is a good place to formally introduce myself. My name is Edinam and I own gingerandseasalt.com. I love food. Yeah, so I decided to come up with ginger and sea salt because I love to cook and I'm hoping to share my recipes with you in the hope that you will also recreate them. I live in Ghana. And yeah, that's about it from me. Let me know in the comments where you're from, where you're watching from, and are you going to try this recipe? Let me know. So at this point, I realized that I needed to add some butter to the sauce, and that's exactly what I did. Butter makes everything better, I think. So I added a bit of butter to this. If your tomatoes are too tart or too sour, what you can do is add a little bit of sugar to take away that tartness. I personally am not a fan of adding sugar to dishes that don't necessarily need them. But if you find that your tomatoes are too sour and you can't really deal with that, then you can add a little bit of sugar. I don't mind, so I would never add sugar to this. I'll just eat it like that. Then we'll add some freshly ground pepper. I like the smell of black pepper and I love the taste of black pepper. So we're going to add that to our sauce as well. And then we're going to put our shrimp back into the sauce. And this is where we cook the shrimp through so that it's properly cooked. As soon as we add the shrimp, the next thing that we're going to do is to add our cheese as well. And then give that a nice good stir. And you can see the beautiful stringy bits of cheese. Just give that a good mix and stir. Shake your pan a bit if you have to, but be careful. And then we're going to put in our coriander leaves or cilantro leaves, again, depending on what you call it. Now, this whole process from adding the cheese to adding the shrimp and adding the coriander leaves should not take you more than 3 minutes because we're not trying to overcook our shrimp. Nobody likes overcooked shrimp, so just take a note of that. So you can see how our sauce is also thickening up. And at this point, you can taste for salt. Remember that the cheese has salt, the shrimp have salt, and the butter has salt. Because I used salted butter for this. So before you think of adding any extra salt along the way, make sure you get to the end of it, taste for salt, and if you really need to add any more, then you add salt at this point. And that's about it. That's the end product here. Beautiful, delicious shrimp sauce that you can have with any pasta of your choice. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you try and recreate this. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and happy eating!